Okay, you're watching Promethean Actions weekly class for December 6th, 2025 with Brian Lance. And this is your host, Tony Pepper. Brian called tonight's class Trump's USA Resurgent. And let me tell you, the information gathered here tonight, you will not get gathered together anyplace else. I mean, the real progress of President Trump's deep going economic reforms is forbidden knowledge, blacked out of the press. It's the subject of a vast cover up, even though it may be the key to the November 2026 elections. As Brian wrote in the pre release for tonight's class, your neighbor may not know any of this, but he should and he must. And with the help of what Brian will lay out in a minute, you can make sure your neighbor does know what you're about to learn. So, with that, let me pass it to Brian.
All right, Tony, thank you. All right, good evening, everybody. Yes, so America is a building. We're reindustrializing America right now. Tonight, we're going to be talking about shovels in the ground. We're going to talk about manufacturing, new factory starts. We're going to cover construction, machine tool orders, the labor force in brief. We talked about that on Monday, this past Monday as well. And we'll touch on nuclear energy, not in general, but specifically what is being built right now. So I want to cut through the hogwash, the flapdoodle, if you will, out there, that we are somehow in contraction, that the economy is shrinking. It's quite the opposite. The federal deficit has been cut by $390 billion in this calendar year. You know, they like to look at the fiscal year, but that includes Biden, right? Because President Trump was sworn in January. But if we take the calendar year, the fiscal deficit, the U.S. federal deficit has already been cut by $390 billion. And Kevin Hassett, who's the head of the president's national economic advisors, believes that figure will turn out to be $600 billion by the end of this fiscal year. We'll see how that plays out. Of course, in part, we're in the dark because there was the government shutdown organized to put the brakes on this momentum, which we'll be talking about tonight. It hasn't worked overall. It's moving forward, and we'll get to more of that. The trade deficit also came down in August by 24%. And we don't have new official figures, but Hassett and others believe that deficit figure, that trade deficit figure is going to continue to come down. And we'll see how that plays out. This is the result, particularly in August, the figures we have was from the imposition of the reciprocal across the board, de minimis, if you will, 10% tariff that was instituted at the beginning of August. So that's just some background. But in terms of the economy, there's a lot of worry. There's a lot of fiction as well. In September, my wife came to me worried and asking what's going on. So we'll start with the manufacturing PMI. It's the manufacturers, producers, production managers, or producer managers index. That's where we're going to start. And first of all, we're going to start with the version from the Institute for Supply Management. Very briefly, we're going to keep this very brief. If you can put up the second slide there, Tony. The manufacturing PMI, interviews the purchasing managers. I want to get the PMI right. It's Purchasing Managers Index. The second one.
I don't think
The one of the book.
Oh, the book. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Uh,
I just want to direct people for more an in-depth look at the real economy, the physical economy, and how you gauge these things. My book, published last year on Election Day, came out on Amazon. Rebuild the USA, the Trump presidency and beyond, is available there, and it's available through Promethean Action as well on their website. Um, uh, uh, so you can go ahead and take that down. But the Institute for Supply Management, interviewing purchase managers, came out with this report for November. It said the purchasing manager PMI was 48.2 in November 2025, a slight decrease from 48.7 in October. This marks the 9th consecutive month of contraction of the U.S. manufacturing sector. Well, the Purchasing Managers Index primarily interviews the Fortune 100, the top 100 corporations, the people with, as I put it before, with breastplates with their name and their position on the on their door, and so they're getting a response from those folks. All right, but there's another Purchase Managers Index, and that's done by Standard and Poor's. You know, they're the rating service of countries and companies and so forth, and they put out their own Purchasing Managers Index, but you don't hear about that. The one I just talked about, the PMI, coming from the Institute of Supply Managers, the Purchasing Managers, is the one that the press utilizes, and that's what you heard about. Even if you don't know about the PMI, that's what you heard in the news. Well, the Standard and Poor's Manufacturing PMI surveys twice as many purchasing managers, twice as many, including many small and medium-sized manufacturers. And they put together their survey. And again, anything over 50 is an average, reflects growth. Less than 50 is shrinkage. Well, the manufacturing PMI for Standard and Poor's reflects growth across the economy. As I said, reported on in the September 15th webcast here, then Standard & Poor's reported that there were increases across U.S. manufacturing for 8 straight months. Now, currently, bringing you up to date, the manufacturing PMI of S&P Global is 52.5 in October, after a 4-month low of 51.9 in November. That's still positive. And I'm just quoting him, still signaling an improvement in factory business conditions for the 10th time in the last 11 months. Only July saw a marginal deterioration. So 10 out of 11 months of growth. Interviewing more broadly small and medium, not just the, top so-called Fortune 100, Fortune 200, but actually looking at the economy in depth. And you can imagine it's obviously medium and small size corporations, manufacturers that are fleet of foot and take advantage of opportunities, move into openings, and expand rapidly. And that's what's been going on. I'll also just quickly say that for the economy of the whole, the composite PMI that takes in service and other sectors of the economy also is positive, 54.6 in October, the largest increase in new orders since last December. It's been in continued positive readings over the course of the year. So then the next slide, if you will. I just want to quote then Standard & Poor's Global Market Intelligence Report on the status of the U.S. in the world. The U.S. also reported, they're saying in terms of the figures they've collected, the data they've collected. The U.S. also reported especially strong manufacturing growth in November, with output not only up for the sixth straight month, but also showing the third sharpest monthly gain seen in the past 3.5 years. In contrast, manufacturing growth stalled in mainland China, and production declined slightly in Japan, and so on and so forth, mentioning slight downturns in other countries and so on and so forth. So we're the outlier in the positive sense. We're growing. Manufacturing has been growing in the United States, and we'll come to more aspects of that. We're going to put some more meat on the bone regarding how that is occurring and where it's occurring. But here I want to just turn briefly, and you can put up the next slide, to the Small Business Administration. This is a photo on their website, the United States government's Small Business Administration, because it's important that we look at how this is being created, how this manufacturing boom is being created, and growth across the U.S. economy. There's obviously areas that it's not growing right now. For example, housing, and we've talked about that in the recent past here. That's got to get resolved. But what is driving this process beyond the Fortune 100 or two, and what's driving this growth? And the Small Business Administration launched Made in America Manufacturing Initiative. Administrator Kelly Loeffler and her and company, you could say, they went on a 2-month tour of the country, meeting with manufacturers, small and medium manufacturers. Beyond that, and what that was targeted to gain an insight into, was they issued 84,000 loans out of the U.S. Small Business Administration to small and medium-sized businesses across the United States. A total of $45 billion in loans, low-interest loans, was made available through the Small Business Administration, fueling the growth in the economy. And this is critical. I just want to go to small, medium enterprises. Go to the next slide quickly here. This is just some statistics, if you can view it. You know, there's 603 small business, 603,000 small business manufacturers in the United States. There's 235,000 of them that have employers, beyond a single manufacturer, that they employ almost 5 million Americans. Go to the next slide. These are the areas where they're concentrated in. Very briefly, if you can see that, if you're on your phone, I'm just going to mention a few of them. If you're connected up here on your phone, fabricated metal parts, 48,000 small firms. That's probably not a big surprise. Machinery, 18,000 firms. Furniture making, 13,000 firms. Computer and electronics, 9,400. Non-metallic mineral products, 8,000. Electrical equipment, 4,000 firms, etc. So this is what we're talking about. And this brings us, this is of overriding importance. And this was underscored by the president in his national security strategy that was just released this last week. You can go to the next slide, Tony, which is available online. You just put in, President Trump - National Security Strategy, November 2025, and you can pull up this 33-page document. And I want to just go to one. This is National Security Strategy for the United States, right? And should be assessed by every American. I'm going to go to one brief quote, and it's up here now. I'm going to read just the first paragraph out loud. We want the world's most robust industrial base. American national power depends on a strong industrial sector capable of meeting both peacetime and wartime production demands. This requires not only direct defense industrial production capacity, but also defense-related production capacity. Cultivating American industrial strength must become the highest priority of national economic policy. That's from the president's national security strategy document just released this week. That's what we're discussing here tonight. And so let's turn now to machine tool orders. And you can go to the next slide there. It's the Association of Manufacturing Technology that surveys manufacturers and basically puts together on a monthly basis a picture of machine tool orders. That's what we're talking about in terms of U.S. manufacturing technology. If you just go across the top number of figures, you don't have to get buried in the woods and all the details there, although it's useful. If you just go across to the right on that first line, percent change year to date, national, and over to the right, 17.3%. A 17.3% growth in machine tool orders from manufacturers in the United States. Machine tools is what builds machines. You don't build anything without machine tools. This is strategic, all right? And this is growing at a tremendous rate. I reported similar figures back in September. Those figures are continuing to be borne out. Contract machine shop orders, as a subset, that's the small producers that do specialized production. They've increased. Machine shop orders of machine tools has increased by 12% year to date, and automotive machine orders are up 15% year to date. Just for some, to give some specific breakout on that. And here, and you can put up the next slide, Tony. I don't want to say everything's rosy. Here's from the Federal Reserve. Here's real sectoral output for manufacturing, machine tool manufacturing. Okay. We see that machine tool orders are up. What about machine tool manufacturing, actually the building of machine tools in the United States? And if you look at this graph going back to before 1990 and go all the way to the right out to 2022 plus, you get the idea here. We've been bouncing around at zero growth. Here zero is no change, and you see up and down, up and down, up and down. And of course, a lot of that is around recessionary periods. But that's Fed policy kiboshing real investment. But you see, you kind of average out, U.S. machine tool manufacturing has been flatlined since the 1990s. And that's going to be worked on. And I'm sure the administration is working on it. The president issued an order for a 302 investigation into imports of machinery and machine tools. And I'm sure that's something that they're going to be working on, and it will become public in the next few months. All right. So what about new machine tool starts? You can take that down, Tony. Thank you. So what about new factory starts? All right. We have the White House reports. There's been a series of them listing now some 18 trillion in investments coming into the United States that'll be coming in over time. Some of it now, some later. And there's lists of new factories that are being announced, or expansion of production, or various corporations that are announcing their intention to build multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar facilities. Where are we with this? With factory starts, industrial construction, where are we in terms of shovels in the ground? And here, again, of course, we can't use federal figures because we don't have them for the last few months because of the government shutdown that started in October and lasted 43 days. We'll be getting more figures come December 15th, 16th, and later on into Christmas. I think they'll show that the turkey is in the oven. We're looking at an expansion going into next year. But I'm going to other sources. So just follow along here. I'm turning first to Construct Connect, which is a major clearinghouse for projects. It's a place where institutions and corporations go to announce projects that they're letting out contracts for. They're looking for bids, and it's a place where contractors go to find work, to make bids. But they also have a blog. And so we're going to use them, and we're going to use another one I'll come to in a minute. But what are they saying about new factory starts? Not factory spending, not spending on factories right now, but new factory starts, shovels in the ground, as I said. Well, here's what they say. Quote, year-to-date non-residential building, that's factories, warehouses, etc., maintained its double-digit growth pace through October, thanks especially to manufacturing, which is up 86.8%. 86.8% in terms of spending on manufacturing, building, construction, facilities. Much of this year's NRB, that is non-residential building, growth has come from the private sector, where industrial and commercial spending is up 54.7% and 41.5% respectively. Year to date, civil construction, that is government construction, that could be roads and so forth, rose 9%, 9.1%, according to Construct Connect, right? Just in October, Construct Connect reports 81 billion in non-residential starts, the third highest month ever recorded, they say. I don't know if that's inflation adjusted, but you get the picture. The construction starts in manufacturing in October were 25% above the 12-month average. That's reaching back. This is October figures. So this is reaching back into the Biden era of chip building, chip factories, and so forth. This is growth beyond that, 25% above that. So I think that gives you, that's one reading, all right? And I think it's important, this is October, this jump in October. Keep in mind that the one big beautiful bill was signed into law at the beginning of July. And here we're talking about a 3-month lag here, if you will. And suddenly there's this burst, giving the tax write-offs, the expensing of new factory builds, new equipment expenditures that's built into the one big beautiful bill, where companies can write off, as tax deductions, those expenses. So here we see 3 months later, boom, a massive expansion, further expansion in this area. Now, let me turn briefly then to Dodge Data and Analytics. They're out of New York. They go back to 1891. They've been around for a long time, and they do all of this market intelligence to manufacturers, architects, contractors, engineers. They sell their services, and they also have a blog, and they keep an eagle eye on the economy, and regarding to production, particularly real construction and so forth. And so here is what Dodge Data Analytics says. Quote, for the year to date, for the 12 months ending October 2025, total construction starts were up 8.1% for the 12 months ending October. We're up 8.1% from the 12 months ending October 2024, right? So an 8% growth. residential starts were down 3.1%. Non-residential starts increased 7.5%, and non-building starts, that includes roads, airports, and so on and so forth, are up 22.9%. In October, Dodge reported that construction starts surged 21.1%, climbing from a 3% increase in September. Further in October, manufacturing factory starts jumped 107%. 107% in October. So these figures are different. You can see that they come to different percentiles and so forth. But both Dodge and Construct Connect show on the ground what's now has been launched in the course of these months of this year, in terms of new construction, non-residential, and factory starts for manufacturing. So we're truly going back to the future, folks. We're truly rebuilding the United States and the economy. And I want to just add as a caveat, though, this is not, it's not even. You may not see it where you are, although I hope people get out and take a look around. Things are changing. But, for example, the expansion of non-residential construction year to date in the mountain area, the western mountain area, not the coast, but basically the area of the Rocky Mountains and so forth, stretching from Montana down to Arizona, almost an 80% jump in non-residential construction starts, a 40% jump in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, that area. However, only a negative 14% growth in the Midwest around Lake Michigan and so forth, Michigan and surrounding states, a negative 14%. Just a 1% growth in Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. Now, in terms of the Midwest, the heavy industrial Midwest, Indiana, Michigan, so forth, I mean, a lot of that could be attributed to the fact that this is non-residential construction starts. For example, in Michigan, there's a lot of retooling in auto going on right now. Billions of dollars are being invested by Ford and General Motors and so forth in retooling away from EV back to gas-powered and hybrid cars and trucks and so on and so forth. But that's not new buildings. That's really retooling within the vast space of the auto plants that exist there in the region now. So I just throw that out, but it's not even across the board. So I'll just leave it there. But more importantly, I want to emphasize, why am I talking about this question of starts, of new factory builds? And I want to emphasize that that's because we're looking forward. We're looking to the future. We're looking at where we're going. That's what we should be looking at in examining this. There's very few, you can find a lot of analyses out there. For example, there's the American Institute for Architects puts out a yearly consensus construction forecast. And if you just go on the web and just, say, I want to get, what's the economic forecast for 2025, they'll refer back to this report, among others. It's a widely used report. The idea is any major construction in terms of factories and so forth is going to involve architects. Therefore, the architects are going to have billings showing that there's these projects coming up, if there are projects coming up. And, the consensus back in early January was, there was only going to be about 2.2% growth. That was before Trump came into the White House, and Trump wasn't a linear extension of what was there with the so-called Biden and the auto pen, right? So the policies were transformed, including by the Small Business Administration. But on energy policy, the Department of Transportation in terms of roads, highways, bridges, etc. So all of this changed in the twinkling of an eye. And so the point here is to look at what's coming, continue to look at what's coming to grasp what has been unleashed uh, by the Trump administration and its principles and private sector supporters. So just returning to industrial and manufacturing starts again. There's another outfit. It's called Industrial Sales Leads. They also have a blog. They're in the same kind of business as Dodge, and Construct Connect. Well, they have figures out already for November. They just released just a couple of days ago figures for November, so they can add to what we already have as a picture that's emerging. Their report shows that in November was the 7th month of steady growth of new projects, industrial manufacturing capital projects. All right. They report for November 136 new manufacturing facilities, 78 processing facilities, 199 distribution and industrial warehouse projects, along with various other projects, in energy and gas, laboratories, terminals, power, and so on and so forth. These new projects that they show in just the month of November included 43 new construction projects, 52 new expansion projects. So you get kind of, the industrial scope here. Well, okay, what's this construction? What kind of construction? Well, part of it's brand new, 43 new construction projects, 52 new expansion projects, and 69 new renovations and equipment upgrade projects, along with 13 projects closing. So these the leading states were, again, Texas, California, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Michigan appeared, Pennsylvania, Florida, Indiana. Having said all that, what are some of these new projects that are being willed? I just want to give some examples coming from Industry Select, which is another outfit, but also some of these other blogs that I mentioned. You have to dig deep to get this picture to actually know it. But let me rattle off a few of these projects quickly here. Pharma, and you'll probably know of some of them. Pharmaceuticals, Genentech. They've broken ground in North Carolina for manufacturing. 700,000 square feet. They've broken ground. I'm only mentioning starts that are underway right now, not projected, underway. So that's 700,000 square foot. That's 400 manufacturing jobs. And right now it's 1,500 construction jobs there in North Carolina. Merck has broken ground on $3 billion Center for Excellence in Virginia. That's in October. They're going to create a 400,000 square foot facility for pharmaceutical manufacturing. This is in Elkton, Virginia. The facility will have manufacturing and laboratory space. It's 500 high-paying jobs, and it's thousands of construction roles over the duration of this project. The electronics, Amcor, you probably never heard of them, AMKOR, but they are putting up in Arizona a $7 billion semiconductor campus devoted to packaging, semiconductor packaging. This has to do with the actual assembly of the chips that actually end up in use in all sorts of products. They have to be packaged as well as produced. 3,000 high quality jobs, the permanent jobs, The first facility is expected to be completed by mid-2027. NVIDIA, um, uh, Apple's chief executive officer, Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, all are praising this project. This is the first semiconductor packaging company to be based operation to be based in the United States. A lot of this has been farmed out to companies based in places like Indonesia and elsewhere. Now we're building it here, and it's getting praised by the very companies that need it. And Secretary of Commerce Lutnick, of course, is in the middle of this kind of building process. Pegaton, electronics plant in Texas, in Georgetown, Texas. A smaller project, $35 million only, 168,000 square feet only. It's going up right now. Tesla has opened its Berkshire plant. It's hiring now. 375 people by the end of 2026, then doubling that by 2027. This is their mega factory for production of batteries. Another Houston project down here where I am, Foxconn, is currently building out a new production facility right now in Northwest Houston. This is in collaboration with NVIDIA and Apple. The 600 direct jobs, 814 indirect jobs, 450 million investment. That's not including what Apple and NVIDIA are building out simultaneously. I'm mentioning it though for a particular reason. It ties into Lordstown, Ohio. Foxconn, Foxcom, and its partner SoftBank purchased the former GM assembly plant in Lordstown. They're now the owners of it. And they're going to manufacture humanoid robots there. They're in the process of ramping up that plant now. The first place those humanoid robots are expected to be put to work is in the Foxconn facility here in Houston, Texas. And that just gives you a sense of how these things are going. Transformers, the go-to from electronics, transformers, we have a tremendous shortage of transformers, and we're largely dependent on imports. The Italian manufacturer, Westrafo, Westrafo, has opened a 233,000 square foot facility in Trotwood, Ohio. On a 17-acre site, 230 jobs. Hitachi Energy is now building a large power transformer plant in Virginia. 457 million, 825 jobs. It will be the largest manufacturing site for large power transformers in the United States. You can put up the next slide just to put if you will, a face on this. Hitachi also is it's investing 106 million to expand its current transformer component manufacturing facility in Alamo, which in particular makes bushings for transformers, high voltage and alternating current transmission systems. So once complete, the site will become the largest bushing manufacturing facility in North America. In other words, Hitachi is committed to building transformers, the large transformers we need to build up our power grid. They're not the only one, but it's important to cite them. Hitachi's got a $6 billion investment portfolio right now, a lot of it in the United States, new production that's engaged in, including nuclear. The aircraft, you can put up the next slide, Boeing, it's not a surprise. They've invested $1 billion to expand the Boeing 787 production in North Charleston, South Carolina. It's adding 1,000 new jobs. They have despite all of the problems Boeing has had, they now have over 1,000 plane backlog for the 787 Dreamliner group of planes, which is what's being produced there. So that's the cover, a number of areas which you may not be so familiar with in detail, but, there's also auto manufacturing, new production, new investment. Just to say it, we had the White House press conference with auto companies uh, with the president announcing the repeal of the CAFE standards of the Biden administration that we're going to jack. We're jacking the required miles, average miles across each company had average 50.4 miles per gallon by 2031. Impossible figures to meet. Those have been repealed. Um, the U.S. auto sales this year have increased 10% so far this year. Auto production is increasing as a result. Just to mention a couple, Ford, like others, like GM, are retooling. I mentioned this earlier. Ford is in the process of adding 5,000 more workers to the workforce. They're spending $5 billion to upgrade, and this includes their new $2 billion Louisville assembly plant. Toyota has opened its battery plant in Liberty, North Carolina. And so that's a $14 billion facility, 5,100 new jobs. So, and then moving to another area, U.S. Steel Nippon, the partnership, it's underway. The CEO of U.S. Steel, Dave Burritt, Burrett, or ITT, Dave Burritt announced that they've already, in just a few months of the partnership, come up with over 200 specific projects to upgrade production facilities. They've got in the pipeline the modernization of the Gary Works hot strip mill, the slag recycler at the Mon Valley Works in Pennsylvania, and they're going to grow to 100,000 jobs. The shipbuilding, we've talked about it before here, so I'm not going to dilate on it a great deal. You can go to the next slide. But it started, the $5 billion investment by Hanwha into the Philly shipyards now owns. This is the U.S. South Korea deals, tariff-related deals, to invest $150 billion into U.S. shipbuilding by South Korea. Hanwha is hiring right now. It's expanding right now, and it's expanding its apprenticeship program. And other shipyard investments by other companies abroad are coming along as well. This is an LNG. This is one of the ships that's going to be built at the Philly shipyards. Hasn't been built in the United States in 40 years. It's 3 football fields in length for LNG, liquid natural gas transportation, incredibly sophisticated ships. So I want to just close out with a couple of brief words on training. I've touched on it a bit, and we discussed it this past Monday in the strategic update here on Prometheus Action. Tony Pappert made a presentation, and the discussion included Keisha and I. But we're solving the skilled labor shortage. We haven't solved it, but we're in the process of solving it. We're upshifting to meet the requirements. Trade school attendance is up 6 to 7% per year. In some places is up 16% this year. Vocational programs grew by 16% in 2024 in the ramp up to the November 24th election. That's from the National Student Clearinghouse. Apprenticeships are growing. We're now up to at least 800,000 active participants. That's up from 600,000 That's as of mid 2025. So it may still make 1 million by the end of the year. Uh, President Trump, through executive order, wants 1 million new active apprenticeships a year. And apprenticeships generally run 2 years. So you're talking about an overlapping. Of 2 million approximately apprenticeships at any one time. That's what's being targeted. Apprenticeship.gov, I've discussed this. Um, this is the federal government has centralized its federal registered apprenticeship programs. It's open to career seekers. It's open to employers that want to open up new apprenticeship programs. They're available. Funds are available. They're willing to work people through these things. They're willing to refer young would-be apprenticeship student workers to companies across the country as well. And you have the Make America Skilled Again process that's underway. Federal block grants have gone out to 14 states. This is largely through workforce development agencies, the Louisiana Workforce Commission, the Technical College System of Georgia, Connecticut Department of Labor, Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce, Texas Workforce Commission, $5, $8, $7, $9 million apiece. This is money going directly through the states through selected programs that have been vetted. This money will be delivered to the owners of the companies, opening up apprenticeship programs for new employees and for upskilling existing employees. So this program is underway. That started September 30th, according to the press release I have. We're going to have to reach a lot deeper. We're going to have to go a lot deeper. We've got we have the NEETs, if you're familiar with that term, the not being educated or employed or in training, NEETs, some 4 million basically not in the workforce and not doing anything else right now. That's got to be tapped. That's got to be drawn into the workforce. And the workforce is expanding. So some, I think, are coming off the sidelines now. But that's going to be critical. We've got approximately 8 million young men and women without a high school diploma, young adults living below the poverty line. So what I've proposed in the past in terms of a space civilian conservation program, you could go to the next slide there, is going to be critical to actually create the workforce of tomorrow. I think I'm going to cut it short here. I'm not going to, this is an example that was of, just to mention on nuclear, I just want to mention this program in Utah. I'm mentioning it because it's probably off the radar screen of most people. The governor of Utah has announced as part of Operation Gigawatt that they're building out a small modular reactor training center and site for small modular reactors in Brigham City, Utah, northeast Utah. We will eventually build components for a fleet of small modular reactors and ship them through locations throughout the region. This is being done with Holtec International, which is also restarting the Palisades nuclear power plant in Michigan, and just received a $200 million a grant from the Department of Energy to expedite their small modular reactor programs for the same Palisades site. So there's more going on. Let's end it there. Open things up for discussion. I hope you got the big picture. The big picture, the turkeys in the oven. To quote my colleague Tom Simpson, we've got a lot on the way. Factory starts, construction, it's all there. It's all it's occurring. Don't listen to the insane, hand-wringing, and dystopic mass media. And tune in to the White House, read their press releases, catch their videos. There's a wealth of material, and go deep in terms of if you're trying to work through what you need to know, what you want to know about the U.S. physical economy and where we're going tomorrow. So thanks for your attention. I hope that's some useful material.